I'm a new bettor, right? It's my first time. I want to gamble a little bit of money, but I only have $50 to gamble.
Mm-hmm.
I need a damn near guaranteed parlay. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed, of course, but a parlay that I feel really good about. Walk me through based upon your experience. I got $50 to my name to bet. I need to win, Jeff. What's that parlay that you feel real good about this weekend?
You know what I would tell you to do if you came to me and asked me what you would do? I'm being honest. I would take the $50. I would say, you know what? I'm not gambling because I'd rather burn it than bet it on a parlay. Go to the bar and try to get lucky and take a girl home. That's what I would do if I were you. Because you're more likely to have a good time with that than play a 60. I mean, betting on parlays is ridiculously stupid. I'll continue to tell you. I think these betting companies they're very smart because they're going to entice people and say, look at what this one bettor did in India. He had a 12-team parlay that was $5 and he won $700,000. I compare it to when I was a young kid. I was like 17, 18. I worked at a convenience store. It's one of the first jobs I ever had. And these old people would come in and I'd see them throughout the week spending $500 on lottery tickets. And the guy would come in on a Friday and say, I hit for $100. And I'm thinking to myself, how many times and how much did you spend to win 100? You're losing. You've long-term lost. And when as a gambler, I would look back in my career and I'd think about how much money I wasted on parlays. You know, $20 here, $20, $30 there. And they add up. They don't win much. I can't tell you how many times I've hit a parlay in my life. It's not many. So I would advise, now if we're having fun and you're telling me, here's 3 games, I would stick to, as Coach talked about, finding, let's say, a favorite of 7 points or less, right? Betting them on the money line. Maybe finding a dog you like. Like, for instance, you like Washington State.
Yeah.
Take them on the money line and then find 2 favorites you like. The problem with gamblers is they have this in their head that they're going to take $10 and turn it into $1 million. Go to any sports book in America and go to 10 people in line. They're all betting parlays. This is how I knew that I was the difference in this. I went to a sports book 3 years ago in Philadelphia, and I'm standing in line, and this guy turns over on me and says, who do you like tonight? I told him, I'm betting 1 game. He looks at me and says, you're betting 1 game? I said, how are you going to make any money doing that? And I said, well, the goal is to win, and it's profit. I'm not worried about getting rich in one night. And I asked him, well, what do you like tonight? And he goes, I got 9 teams, a 9-team parlay. I said, I'm thinking in my head, like, most of the people in this line are doing that. And these books, these sports books, look at the buildings they're in. They're literally like gold.
Billions, and trillions.
Hey, Jeff, I ain't gonna lie. Hey, I've been that guy. I go to Bovada and I'm like, hey, I go bet online or whatever. I do not. I'm like, you know what? It's $20. I don't need $20.
That's the thing. Someone like yourself who doesn't bet much, you just have a good time. There's nothing wrong with it. But there are people regularly that will come on these types of YouTubes and things, and they'll try to push this nonsense out like it's how you should be gambling. And this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm telling you, if you want to make money, this ain't the business to do it in. It's hard. It's tough. But if we're having fun and you're someone like yourself, have at it. But I'm not a sucker.
I want to make that Jeff Nadu money. You've been winning.
But see, the thing is, I'm only like on a Sunday, like when I come home with Coach, I might bet 3 or 4 games total. It's rare that I'm going to go 4-0. So my goal is to go 3-1. That's hard to do. There are some days where I'm just hoping to go 2-2 and not lose money. Because when I look at a 31-day calendar, if I can win 17 days, I'm going to make a little money. And in a course of 12 months, over the course of 12 months, it's try to be profitable. It's not easy, man. Like it's hard. You're just trying to crack.
And you never do parlays, so you pretty much damn near just individual games.
I might do a parlay once a year. You know, like I'll see 4 or 5 games that I really like. See, for me, you know what I grew up doing, and this is a bet that no book takes anymore, but it used to be a spot that I would like. On Saturdays, I would find 2 games I liked, and there was a bet you could make called a reverse. A reverse is you start with $100, let's say. If both games hit, you win 400 to win 400 if both hit. If one lose and one wins, you lose $100. If both lose, you lose $200. So for me, it was just about finding 2 games. So let's say for $200, I get 800 on 2 bets. So I only need 2 games. But you have to remember, both lose, you lose double what you bet.
It's like
so
double either way. Either reverse
and that was
not.
that was the parlay that I wanted because I just needed 2 teams. So I'd find, 2 banger favorites I like. So for instance, tomorrow night, if I were to make a bet tomorrow night, I'm going to do something that works. And I know Coach will understand this. And if you're out in the West Coast, you get it. USC has fucking mollywopped every team they played. They just have. They've scored 56 or more in every game. And guess who they got on schedule tomorrow? Arizona State. Arizona State's not good. This is not a vintage, Jalen Daniels-led team. This is a bad team. Number open 31. It's not the 34.5. As long as it stays under 35, I have interest here. USC is going to score 50+. Do I think Arizona State can get into the 20s with Drew Pine, who's played 12 snaps this year, I believe? No. So I'm just going to go and find stuff that, to me, if I'm you, what do I know will probably happen? Do I think USC is going to come in and score 17 points? No. No, I don't. They're a good offense. They're going to put me in a position to win.
Hey, let's talk about some games before we move to the NFL. I want to ask you a couple things, a couple games that are shockers possibilities. All right, upset alerts. Pittsburgh, North Carolina. I do not like this game. Pittsburgh has to get off the schneid, so to speak, after getting beat in the backyard brawl last week. This is an upset alert game for me. I think Narduzzi has to get Pittsburgh to play for once. And I think they show up against a good North Carolina team, but North Carolina teams like this have also been able to shit the bed in the previous years and show us they lose a game that they shouldn't to a Syracuse or a Boston College. Do you see an alert here at all with Pittsburgh, North Carolina, UNC -7.5 in Pittsburgh, by the way?
No, I don't. And there's 2 reasons why. I think the quarterback discrepancy here is so large, right? You have Drake May, who is quietly one of the best quarterbacks nobody talks about, against a guy in Phil Jerkovich, who I remember 2 years ago when he was at BC, I heard all sorts of people saying, don't worry about where he plays. He's an NFL talent. He gets injured, broken hand. He hasn't been the same since. Last week against a bad West Virginia team, he was 8 for 20. He had 3 interceptions. Wasn't good. Didn't throw for 100 yards in the game. Phil Jerkovich isn't good. He just isn't. This is a bad Pittsburgh team who didn't look good last week against a bad West Virginia team, didn't even score double-digit points. I just think these are teams going in opposite directions. And it's interesting. Shout out Mac Brown, because you just talked about earlier a coach who, Mac Brown ain't with the times, man. Mac Brown. And look at Mac Brown. I'll tell you what, they beat up a good Minnesota team last week, man. That's a good defense. Drake May just dropped 31, no problem. I think these teams are going in opposite directions.
All right, fair take. Let me ask you, any worry in University Park with Penn State, Iowa?
Ooh. Well, this is a game where there will be rain. It's going to be ugly weather around here. Rain all day. And Iowa beat Penn State last time these 2 teams played. This is a better Iowa offense. Cade McNamara is the best quarterback they've had in a while there. But I've said before, I love Penn State, man. I think this is a team we have to start talking about. I think
he thinks it's his best team in Franklin era.
Ask yourself this: outside of, let's say, Georgia, Washington, Penn State's been terrific. They've beaten every team they played easily. Drew Aller's the best quarterback they've had there since Hackenberg, which was a while ago. They haven't had a lot of good quarterbacks over the years. I love their run game. I love their defense. Something tells me this is first to 20 wins. I think this is an ugly game, man. Ugly weather, good defenses. I heard something about the Iowa coach. I don't know if you've heard this. Do you know the coach is his son, right? Brian Ferentz. That's the.
No, you're talking about the OC is Kirk's son.
Yeah. I heard there's a stipulation in his contract where to be paid more money, they have to score 25 points a game. Have you heard that?
The AD put it in place because of all the nepotism that's happening in the world that no one calls out. Iowa, good old boy state, nepotism laws and human resource laws and employment laws had to put a stipulation in there so that he didn't get sued or face backlash from the community because of how bad their fucking offense is. So that is why they put it in. The dad did it really to put it in to say, okay, I'm the dad here and I'm fair, which really you're not. I'm going to put this stipulation in. So to back off the haters, kind of.
But this is interesting to me as a gambler because I'm looking at it and saying, this game on paper, rainy, good defenses, looks like a 17-10 type of game. But then I look at it and I say, well, hold on. They're going to push to score as many points as they can, regardless of what I think. They have a better quarterback than they've had in years past. And one thing we know about James Franklin, because I bet on them all 3 games so far this season, he, no matter what the score is going to try to score again. Last week, it almost cost him a cover because that motherfucker kept trying to score, and it turned into a quick 3 and outs, and Illinois was getting the ball back. So
let me ask you this real quick before I ask you about these last 2 games before the NFL. How much advice would you give somebody when you start to bet on teams that have to score points to impress the committee on win-loss differentials now that it is a thing in the BCS and the college football playoff? I got to score points and beat teams bad. Like USC has to try to score 70 to move up in the rankings and have an ability to get in the playoff, right?
And in this type of year, the Georgia Bulldogs, all they have to do is win. Because they're never not going to be a top 4 team unless they lose a game or two, which isn't going to happen. So all they have to do is win. And in your case, you're 100% right. If you're Washington, if you're Notre Dame, if you're Texas, if you're any of these teams, you got to score as many points as possible. And Franklin knows that. I have a list in college basketball and college football of coaches that have come out and said, essentially, in college basketball, there are certain Ken Pom ratings. There's a something in there that gives you a higher score if you score points. So the goal is we're going to win by as much as possible. That's why it's hard to bet unders in college football anymore. This is a prime example. You have 2 coaches, you have 2 offenses that Penn State needs to score points. And Iowa, it's in the fucking contract. We need to score because we love our coach and we want him to get paid. So, yeah, you have to put that into account. That's why it's hard to bet unders. That's why I'm only betting unders, guys, with Eastern Michigan, UMass, Jacksonville State. Teams that they're not going to win East Carolina. They're not going to win the national title. And they're just not good on offense. They don't have good quarterback play. That's where I'm betting unders. I'm not betting unders with decent or very good Power 5 teams. I'm just not doing it.
How many bets on average do you typically make? I'm just curious.
On a Saturday, 3 to 6, maybe.
Okay. All right. 3 to 6.
I mean, it's not like tonight I have 2 games. Like I think it wavers. I mean, there would be nights on a Friday where there's 4 games and I don't like anything. For me, I think as a gambler and anyone that I think just uses this one piece of information, one of the things that bothers me as I get older are fans, because you can't bet as a fan. Like I just don't, you have a mind where you just can't do it. For me, if the Eagles, like this week, I don't think the Eagles are in a good spot. I like the Bucks. It doesn't matter that I don't care about fandom. I care about money. You also have to realize just because a game is on TV doesn't mean you have to bet it. And a lot of amateurs, they make that mistake of they just bet shit to bet, right? I relate it to poker. If you know how to play poker, amateurs see aces when they get in a text hold and they see aces. It doesn't matter what happens. They get into this trance that I have to win with aces. It's the best hand and I can't lose. No. There's a lot of hands that will beat you, and you get in a trance that you're going to win because you have aces. Just because the game's on TV doesn't mean you have to bet it. And so many people see, I don't look to these big games. I don't bet these big games. I'm looking to where people aren't looking. So you're not
betting the game of the weekend, Ohio State, Notre Dame. You're not betting.
I couldn't give a shit. Well, no, I will say I actually think Ohio State's a great play this week. But no, generally I'm looking at, one of my favorite bets last week, UMass plus 7.5 against Eastern Michigan. Probably the worst game in a card. But I'm getting a team who should never be a favorite in Eastern Michigan. They don't cover as a favorite. I have trends to back it up with the coach they have. And I have a UMass team that's better than they've been in years past. Don Brown's a decent coach. They're not a good team. They're not going to win 7-8 games, but they're not and shouldn't be a 7.5-point underdog. That's the kind of games I'm looking at. I don't care if it's a cockroach.
Ohio State. I got to ask you a couple of the games that I'm interested in hearing you about. I think another upset alert game, even though I think they will not get upset, but this has been a historical take with this franchise, organization, and team. I love Sark to death, longtime friend. Baylor and Texas are still Texas rivals, still the same recruits, still recruited the same kids. They're going to talk shit. Colorado State style game. Baylor, Texas minus 14.5. I think it could be a lot closer than people think. The Wyoming gave Texas all they could handle for fucking 3.5 quarters. And I think this is a game, again, like Florida State. Okay, we got away with one last week. Now Texas either blows Baylor out or it's a fucking tight, nitty game. Are you worried at all about this game, or is Baylor just done with this year?
Well, I think you make a really good point, because you look at Texas, they also have Kansas and Oklahoma on deck. Look, years ago, Kansas wouldn't mean anything. Kansas is a good football team, and we know Oklahoma is a good football team. This is a Baylor team who doesn't have their starting quarterback. You're right. It's kind of low expectations in Waco. We hear the coach has issues. Defense isn't great. I still, though, look back and say to myself, how did you give up 42 points? You should never give up 42 points at Texas State. You shouldn't, no matter who the coach, quarterback, whoever is. It just shouldn't happen if you're Baylor. For me, I'd look at it similar, but not totally. I don't want to play the point spread here. There's one entity that I know will work. It's Texas's offense against Baylor's defense. I don't think Baylor's good on defense. Could they maybe score 21 and stay in this game? Possibly. But I know Texas is going to get into the 30s here. It's just what they do. I think Baylor's not good on defense. I would look at like a team total here. But I hear your point. I just think Texas is here and Baylor's here. And with the backup quarterback who has not been real good, if it were Blake Shapen, I'd probably agree, but I can't get involved to decide.
All right, Smitty, let's get into the brass tacks here, the Ohio State game before the NFL picks real quick. We got about 15 minutes. Where we at? Ohio State, Notre Dame. It's the big one. And I'm gonna give you a hot take real quick first. I've heard Steve Kim and a few other people tweeted out some things. Steve Kim's coming over tomorrow to watch the game with me. This is a game-breaking opportunity for a career catapult with Coach Freeman. I disagree. I think it's a bigger game and statement for Coach Day, because if they lose, this is the spiral that's going to put Day out of business and put him out of Ohio State. And that's the truth, because that's only going to mean to me that Michigan's going to wax that ass again, and Penn State may get you too. Ohio State losing 3 games this year. I think Day is hot. Seat is hotter than hot. And that's just my take. I think Day has to win this game to show the naysayers out here that we're still the dominant Midwest force and you ain't going to get over the hump. I think Freeman wins. There's no pressure. I can win or lose this game. It's year 2 for me. Day, though, I think it's make or break.
That's a good ass point.
See, this is why I think, Coach offers a really interesting look into games. I think he's 100% right. And also, what do we know? They have a quarterback there in McCord who quietly has a top 10 QBR. It's only thrown 1 interception, and they have fucking destroyed every team they played. I watched the whole game last week against West Kentucky. I had the over, and it was over at halftime. This
I thought Indiana played them as
tough. IU game, I was saying the IU game was tight. Now, don't let the score fool you.
They still won by 20 points, regardless.
Yeah, they were 21-3 or something.
Right. But again, McCord has been very solid. This is his game to prove this is my football team. I've got weapons. Look, I'll just say this. I mentioned the line again, okay? As good as Notre Dame's been, 4-0, they got Tam Hartman, they're at home, and they're a 3.5-point dog. That tells you all you need to know. Notre Dame's going to lose by 10+ here. That's how I look at this game. Because I think Ohio State is better on both sides. They have better players. I like Hartman. Don't get me wrong.
Hartman's a bad boy now. Like, Notre Dame is better at the most important position. That's why I look at it.
See, I'm not – look, Kyle McCord, you're not giving enough – the kid's good. and they have way better talent at the receiver position than arguably anyone.
It matters who you play, Jeff. I still am a believer as a coach. It matters who you play. I've hung up 50
Who has Notre Dame played?
My quarterbacks look great.
Tennessee
and
State.
I go have to play
Who
a
gives
real
shit?
team, and my quarterback looks shitty. He did
Who
not
they
look
played?
Indiana, another Power 5 team in the conference. Indiana is a mid to low mid-tier Power 5 team. They did not look great. And then the other two teams Ohio State's played have been absolute garbage. Notre Dame's at least been battle-tested on the road versus a very, very good NC State defensive line, NFL guys all over. Notre Dame went in there and handled that team, arguably better than any team Ohio State's faced. Hartman looks as good as I've ever said. I got him as my number one NFL-ready quarterback. That's not changed. I think Ohio State comes in here and gets actually diced.
Sam Hartman is a terrific quarterback. I think he's probably second in the Heisman rankings right now. But at every other position, to me, plus I don't look at Notre Dame. Look, Navy sucks. Tennessee State, who gives a shit? NC State, we know, Coach, they're a middling ACC team every year. Neither team's really played much of anybody.
They're like Oklahoma. I'm not sold on Oklahoma, Jeff. Yeah. They played fucking no one. They play Cincinnati this week. When are they going to play a goddamn Power 5 team?
The only thing that matters, Cincinnati.
SMU, fucking, who else are they playing?
Keep in mind, Cincinnati is a Power 5 team now, but either way. No, but I get what you guys are saying. The thing for me is, I just look at the number. If we believe in Hartman so much, bookmakers don't. They don't believe in him at all. Because he's a home dog here.
It's a sex appeal thing, too. Caleb Williams is more sexy. So is Drake May. So is fucking Penix. Yeah. So is, you know what I mean? It's a sex appeal thing. Plus, this is year one at Notre Dame versus a Penix at year 2 or a Caleb at year 2. And that's another deterrent in the betting world. I know for a fact just from Brandon Lang and shit. Like when there's guys that have been stable for some places, is that a true statement from you? Or do you think that do you agree to that?
Yeah, and I think, I think the one good thing about not playing anybody, like you're going to beat West Kentucky and you're probably going to score 60 doing it. You're already they've been planning for Hartman. They've watched these games. They get it. You're right, though. This is a legacy thing for Mr. Day. It's a huge game for him because, again, they've not been good in stepping up the last year or two. They've lost to Michigan. That's been the big one. I agree. To me, they're not being respected, and they don't believe in Notre Dame, and I don't either. Give me Ohio State.
Hey, man, I'm calling it right now. Notre Dame is winning this game in South Bend. It's going to be a crazy environment. They are getting the dub against Ohio State.
Hey, Joe Accord is such a homer. Joe Accord thinks Oklahoma's the best and the Minnesota Vikings. He thinks that Oklahoma should play the fucking Vikings in the Super Bowl this year. All right, let's go.
Hey, real quick.
We got about 10 minutes.
Can I just throw one thing out real quick?
Yeah.
Real small game on the card, but this is a awful spot. I like Wyoming -2.5 against App State. This is why. Do you know where Appalachian State is, Darnell?
Mountains. Hour drive from the airport.
It's in Boone, North Carolina.
Never heard of it.
Very remote area, okay? You got to go on a plane, and you're not going to Colorado. You're not going to L.A. You're not going to Tempe. You're going to Laramie. You know where Laramie is? It's in Wyoming. It is also very remote, and you cannot fly directly into Laramie as far as I know. You've got to fly about a half hour away and drive there. It is an elevation. It is one of the highest stadiums in America, and it's a very tough thing to do, especially for a team full of kids who've probably and likely never been past Arkansas in their career. That elevation hits you in a different way. They don't go there very often. Don't let people tell you, like the Denver Nuggets, people that play the Denver Nuggets don't give a fuck about elevation. That's pro players. But kids that are 18 and 19 that have never played in elevation, that's hard to do. This is a tough spot, and this is a bad scheduling spot. It's kind of a month into the season. You played some tough games. Now you got to go out to Wyoming. I think Wyoming takes care of business here. This is I got a
rebuttal for you before we go to the NFL because I'm glad you brought this game up. I know both head coaches, really good friends of mine, great coaches. Here's the thing. In the transfer portal era, can't say anyone's not past Arkansas anymore. Half of his team's from the West Coast. So number one. Number two, I want to let you know some clarity. Boone, North Carolina is almost a 2-hour flight and drive. So you got to fly in, you got to drive to Boone, North Carolina for all their players' recruiting visits, all their players going into town and getting some fucking movies or some type of nightlife. They drive back to Boone, North Carolina. Laramie, Wyoming is just another Boone, North Carolina to them. I don't believe it affect them whatsoever. Wyoming,
but again, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. Have
One
you
of
ever
them got to travel to a fucking hick town. The other one's driving to a hick town. It don't matter. They're both going to fucking hick towns. I think Appalachian State drubs Wyoming this week, to your point, for the fact that they busted their nut last week against Texas. And they're like, And now North Carolina App State, who should have beat North Carolina, is going to go into Wyoming and whip the shit out of Wyoming.
Do you have any idea how high above sea level at Laramie is?
Yeah, don't matter.
How much?
And we getting deep right now. We talking about
sea
level and
just ask.
6,500,
7,200 feet.
Yeah.
That's the difference here. It doesn't matter what kind of towns they are. That's the difference.
Then the Broncos should be 2-0.
Let me ask you: in your career, you've played a lot of football. Did you ever go to Wyoming?
Yes,
no,
I played there, and we played in Shadron, Colorado.
And how was it? And how was it?
I believe it's one of the highest elevated states. Colorado's, what is it? I think it's Colorado. What the fuck's Gunnison, Colorado is the highest elevated football stadium in the planet Earth. That was a Division II school that was in the RMAC conference back in the day. We had to go play there.
And how'd you feel?
Gunnison is, I think, what, 13 fucking thousand? Look it up. I don't know. But Gunnison, one of those schools. It's either Adams State or Colorado's fucking not School of Mines. It's another, the Red School. Fuck, I forgot. It's, you know what, Jeff? I'm gonna be honest. To me, it's a little overrated, man. A little overrated. You know why? Because the flight, there's a reason you take the bladder air out of a helmet. Because they'll blow up in an airplane. They blow up. You'll have no helmets to play. They have to fly 35,000 feet, Jeff. It is over.
I'm looking at this App State roster, and you know what I'm seeing? A lot of Georgia, a lot of NC,
you get a lot of South,
a lot of Florida. I'm just saying that's going to hit you different.
We can debate this. I want to bet Jeff personally on this one because I love his take. I think App State rolls Wyoming. He's going Wyoming because of the travel. I'm going to prove to the world that the travel don't mean shit. They're both from redneck fucking backwood towns, and they're going to be the same fucking deal. Let's go to NFL. We only got 5 minutes, Jeff. I got to get some NFL key games. Let's just go some key games here because we're going to dive into it deep on Sunday. If you don't watch Jeff cook on Sundays on Last Chance Q, we get him 400 or 500 people in there on Sundays without any promotion. We appreciate you guys. We're going to try to blow this show up on Last Chance Q as well. I got to ask you one game that's intriguing. There's a few, but I got to ask you right out the gate. The battle of horrible quarterback play. Titans, Browns in Cleveland, -3.5 Cleveland's getting. Do you see Deshaun, Whoopi Goldberg, Deshaun Watson going to get it done or no?
No. As Coach, this has been a hot topic the last couple of weeks because I voiced my issues with Ryan Tannehill. Okay. In week 1, it fucking annoyed me, but they covered. And guess what Ryan Tannehill did? Followed it up last week with quite a good performance against the LA Chargers. 83% completion, 250 yards and a touchdown. Bang, boom, bada bing. Now you get the Browns. Okay. Now I know that's a good defense, but you talked about it. Deshaun Watson, some of the issues with him that are starting to creep up. Okay. Titans, I've talked about this. Mike Vrabel is the best coach in the NFL as an underdog. They've been an underdog first 2 weeks. You know, listen, if you're going to give me points with Mr. Tannehill and with Vrabel, if covered as an underdog first 2 weeks, I think they make it a third. The NFL, it's all about the number, 3.5. You give me 3 and a hook, good, I'm in. Give me Vrabel.
I like that, man. I like
By
that.
the way, Western State College, that's who team I was talking about in Gunnison. They play at about 8,000 square feet. All right, so let me get into this game. It's very intriguing. Might be the most intriguing one on the lineup. Falcons Lions at Ford Field. I like the Falcons. I got them winning the South. Quarterback play scares me. Detroit can score 40 at any given night, and then they can shit the bed any given night. So who you got in the Falcons Lions? Detroit -3.
Well, you make a good point with Detroit because I think even in the end, I mean, let me ask you, do you really believe in Jared Goff? Really?
Not in big games. Just like Cousins.
Right. Like, yeah, do you really believe in him? And whenever the Falcons play, I look, can you stop the run? It's very rudimentary. Can you stop the run?
Because I don't believe in Ritter either.
Right. Exactly. Bijan Robinson's a truth. I mean, he's electric.
He's a monster, yeah.
Now you look at Detroit, 11th in the NFL in yards per rush attempt defensively. They've been pretty good against the run. They're not good against the pass. For me, whenever I'd play Desmond Ridder, I'd stack the box. Like, that's what I do. And Dan Campbell's a smart guy. He knows that. The Falcons are inept at throwing the football. They just are. So for me, you got to keep up in those games. You got a Lions team at home here who we all of a sudden against bad teams are willing to lay a couple of points with them. I like the Lions here because they're not dumb enough. Just stack the box. Ridder can't beat you. It's pretty simple. Goss better. I don't think they can keep up. I don't like favorites much in the NFL. This is probably one I would lay.
How about let's go a few more. The big one, obviously, is the Belichick never starting 0-3. The Mormon MILF Hunter getting off the side. Patriots, Jets, -2.5 New England, in New England, 74 degrees. Or in New York, sorry. 74 degrees in New Jersey and East Rutherford this weekend.
One note, the Patriots has won, I think, the last 14 times, if I'm not mistaken, against the Jets. I saw that stat. So very interesting, man. What you got though, Jeff?
You know, it's interesting. These two teams obviously play twice a year. Played last year, end of November. You know what the score was in that game?
What?
10-3. So you ask yourself, what are the differences this year? Nothing really. There's no Aaron Rodgers, which they didn't have last year. They still have Zach Wilson. They don't have much on offense, and they have a good defense. New England, they're pretty much the same too, right? Good defense, same coach. This total's 36.5. It was 10-3 last year, and I'm not saying it will be that this year. I have a hard time seeing these teams combine for, let's say, 40 points. It's just, there's not a lot. There's no pace, really. It's just, this would have been a good matchup 3 weeks ago, but unfortunately, it's not. So for me, I think this is first to 17 wins. I'm going to go under the total if I had to play it, but I'm likely not going to play it.
Jeff, real quick, we got a couple minutes. I want to get a couple games for the fans out here. My upset pick of the week is the Broncos beating the Dolphins. How crazy am I? And break that down.
I don't think you're crazy. I think, I think you unfairly target Russell Wilson. Bit of a weirdo, surely.
I like Russell Wilson. I've been defending him forever. I think he's I thought he was top 10 quarterback for a long time. I just think that now he's gone over the hump with the whole fucking celebrity status and turned weird. That's all.
Yeah, no, I get you. I feel like last week, look, I know they had to come back in the game. I think at long term, he's going to be good with Sean Payton. That's one thing we can agree with, right? It was almost like the first game we talked about, right? Or the Lions game. If you can't score, it's going to be hard to stick with the Dolphins, man. They're so good on offense. I tried fading them last week. I thought that was a good spot for the Patriots. They just couldn't keep up. And sometimes when you can't keep up against a good football team, they're going to push you in the dust. That's why college is beneficial a lot of the time.
Before you give the rest of the take, I'm going to give you the coaching spot so you can be better educated, or not that you're not already, but I like Surtain blanketing one of these wideouts. And I think Tua holds the ball too long when his first read gets cloudy. And if you take away one of those main burners, which Surtain, in my opinion, is the best corner in football, will do, I think Tua is going to struggle a little bit longer and harder than he has in the first few weeks, where even though we've seen a lot of big yardage because of yards after completion, we've also seen him be very, very inaccurate in mediocre and intermediate route concepts. I think he struggles versus a Denver defense and a better playing offense in Denver, and you can see it. Even though they choked that 21-3 off last week, their offense is better under Sean Payton. So I think it's something to think about.
I would like to see this number get to 7. And if I can get a full 7 with the Denver Broncos, here's what I don't want to do. If Denver's laying points, I'm not real interested because I don't think they're a real good football team. But when you're getting a touchdown in a good spot, that's where I want to take Denver because I agree with Coach. They do have quality corners. They're always a quality defensive team. And it's possible, and it's actually surely, that Miami's not going to continue this pace all season, right? And if anybody's going to kind of put a chink in the armor, it's Sean Payton in Denver. I'd like to see a 7 here because I don't want to be sitting on an island where I have 6.5. I want to get at least a 7. That way in a 28-21 game, I at least get my money back. I agree with Coach, though. If I had to play this, I'm going Denver.
Yeah. Let me ask you 2 more games before we get out of here. I know Smitty has something to ask you. Chargers, Vikings, 2-0-2 teams that basically both guys got to win there. Quarterbacks,
a lot of pressure on that one.
Yeah. Smitty and I think that if the Chargers lose this one, Staley may not get on the airplane. Rightfully so. But I want you to touch on that game, which is big for both quarterbacks, both players, both teams. And then I think the Commanders actually are in a great upset spot with the Bills.
And that real quick, that's what my upset was going to be. I was gonna say that next. I got the Commanders upsetting the Bills this week, but go ahead.
This is why the LA Chargers are they're dopey. Like, they're a dopey team. Like, they don't see the bigger picture. They don't have the ability to say, you know what? I'm sick of being embarrassed. We're going to make a stand here.
That's the head coach, bro. He's a fucking bookworm.
Right. We're going to fire our coach, and we're going to make a fucking statement here. And we're going to light a fire under our fucking team. That's what we're going to do. But no, they don't. They allow Brandon Staley, who we know can't coach, and we see that from thousands of miles away. Gorjan Nikovsky, who's from fucking Macedonia, can see that, but they can't see it. The fucking team that employs this individual. I like what I've seen offensively from the Vikings, okay? And we know that the LA Chargers in a flip situation, they are inept, they're Doppler, and they're not capable of winning these games. Throw in the fact that guess who's desperate? The Minnesota Vikings, who, let's be honest, played some good football teams. I mean, Tampa's better than people think defensively. They just are. And the Eagles are legit. I didn't think the Vikings were that bad on offense. They had some bad turnovers. The goal is you just can't turn the ball over your Cousins. You're at home. It's desperate. I just think the Chargers are an inept football team. They're not good defensively. I cannot bet them in this type of situation. Give me Minnesota.
I love the passion behind your voice, man. I love
this. Darnell. Thank you. And a lot of people, a lot of square gamblers are going to look at this and say, Chargers can't go 3-0 or 0-3. And I'm going to say, yeah, they can, because they never win these type of games. Ever. Doesn't matter who.
I got to go with Jay Herbo, man. You're right. Reason why I can't gamble, because I go with my heart. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. They got so much damn talent on that field. I get Staley, he doesn't seem like he's the best coach in the world. From what I hear, he's smart as hell, but we all know smart is not the only thing that equals good coach. There's a lot of
but that's the thing. You're still buying into little pieces of them. They're not capable. The whole team.
They could have won the first 2 games. Like, they're 0-2. We see the record, but like both games are right there. Went to overtime and won. Both games went out to the wire.
In 5 minutes. It's possible I might get a knock on the door and Kim Kardashian might be there saying, come fuck me. But she's probably not.
That ain't, I don't think that's going to happen.
Bro.
I don't know that's going to happen.
Blinders are all-time high.
That's not
fucking
that's normal.
They're playing the Vikings. Everything you said about the Chargers, you said the same thing about the fucking Vikings, too. You believe in Kirk Cousins right now? The guy who doesn't win big games. This is the biggest game of his life right now. And they're going to lose this one, too.
But remember, who's the favorite in this game? The Vikings. So they're less – the Chargers are very inept. The Vikings are kind of inept. So I'll take that.
Real quick, though, I know we'll talk Sunday more, but there's some interesting games. I got to just question without talking about a game. I got a question for you. I'm going to tell you – well, I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I fucking hate 2 games on Monday night. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
An hour in between games starts.
I can't watch them both because they're, you know what I mean?
It makes no sense to me. Why are we doing it again? Eagles, Bucks, Rams, Bengals. I mean, 2 good game possibilities, and we're fucking gonna watch them both half-ass. Like, it's
what I think should have
marketing ploy, but it's working, I guess.
I think what I think they should have did here is instead of having the Bengals game on Monday night. That should have been 4:25 on Sunday. And you put, let's just say, Bears, Chiefs. Because you have Mahomes. It's a West Coast game, kind of. It's more West Coast. I mean, it's Midwest, but either way, you could have staggered it to like 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock.
You know what I would propose, to be honest, if I was Goodell? Number one, play football again in pads. But number two, I would propose you take that second Monday night game and you play it Saturday night early, because you're going to evolve it to Saturday during the playoffs anyway.
Listen, college football make a lot of money. I think they're going to have a problem with that, Coach.
Yeah, but Saturday night college football games, other than one game a week, maybe Alabama at night on occasion,
or Colorado,
you're going to get Hawaii, bro. Hawaii at 9 p.m. Who's the fuck's going to watch Hawaii over the goddamn Bengals Rams? And you're going to move to Saturday night anyway during the BCS playoffs. College NFL wild cards are going to be on Saturdays.
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, but the NFL
start moving it to a Saturday night now instead of 2 Monday night games. Fuck.
That's the NFL for you. I don't like the double Monday night game either, because Darnell's
the weather's still kind of good around most of Earth, most of America. Saturday night, people ain't watching them games right now. Now in the winter, you know what I mean? Yeah, people chilling. It's cold outside. Everybody's in the house right now. They ain't showing on Saturday. We're gonna be outside on Saturday night.
NFL
and you got college football right now, heavily right now too. Middle of the season, you don't want to.
I'm just gonna say it just before we go here, and I'll say this to the day I die. If you are a grown man and you're picking watching football over possibly hanging out with women, I can't deal with you.
Hey, hold on though, Jeff. Real quick, we ended like
I don't give a fuck about football. It'll happen regardless.
Let me ask you this.
That's why I'm me and you're you.
Let me ask you this though.
Get my ways right.
I got a 2-part question. Number one, the majority are probably 45 to 50s like me, who will bring a broad to the house at a cigar lounge and watch a Saturday night football game, and the market would probably climb through the roof. And B, the second part of it is, even you with a broad is going to a sports bar and watching the fucking game on a Saturday night. So I think the NFL would blossom. And let me ask you something, Smitty. To Smitty's point, the NFL sold out Vegas for a flag football all-star game. Shut up. They're going to sell anything they do.
Timing matters, though, JB. Timing matters. You're going to play a football game on the Saturday that Notre Dame and Ohio State's about to take off, and you got Colorado up. You don't want to do that. Wait till December when it's bowl game and it's time frame where there's no fucking games going on.
That's why they do that. That's why they do that.
Let it make sense, baby. Come
That's
on.
what they do that
business, baby. It's business. Pound that like button, subscribe. I gotta go. I don't know what they doing. I got a job to do after this. I don't know what they got going on.
Hey, go get all of your tweets ready to go for Daniel Jones and Brock Purdy, because I'm taking Daniel Jones still. I don't give a fuck what Jeff Nadu says. I'm taking Daniel Jones and Big Smitty. Get out of here, Big Smitty. I got some beef to pick with Jeff for 1 minute.
Miss Lisa Asherman, I cuss all the time. I got a minute. Go. Go.
Oh, by the way, Coach. Hey, hold on.
Hey, I'm going to be
How about this? Coach proven wrong yet again. Daniel Jones looked great last night again. Get the hell out of here.
That's the discussion. That's going to be an hour. I have to do this.
Uh-oh, he called your ass out, JB. Jeff called your ass out.
Another bum-ass loss by the bum-ass
Jeff,
Giants.
hold on, Jeff.
Fuck out of here.
Give me another team in the NFL, all right, that has played the top 2 defenses in the NFL.
Doesn't matter. He's a fucking loser.
13 days. Put Brock Purdy on the New York Giants, Jeff. Shut the hell up.
And Brock Purdy's, guess what? Killing shit. Fuck out of here.
Horrible. Brock Purdy's shitty.
But you didn't call Purdy a top 10 quarterback. You called motherfucker Daniel Jones like a top 10, top 15. I think top 10 quarterback in the league. They made him top 10 quarterback, and I told you that, and Jeff told you that. This is respect on Lamar Jackson name.
This is the same guy that said, honestly, on a public forum, a guy who's on the best team in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, that Dakota Prescott was not better than Daniel Jones. Get the fuck out of here. I don't give a shit who's on the team. It's who's on the team. And he's got a team, and he's good, and he fucking moves the ball. Daniel Jones stinks. It doesn't matter who's on the fucking team. Fuck out of here.
I love you guys. Vinny, you got to go. Jeff, I'll see you Sunday.
That's you, a slapdick, when it comes to Daniel Jones.
Back at you Sunday, Jeff.